Hey everyone, I'm your host Jacob Brightman, and welcome back to the Report Card. Each week, I invite an insider from Cromwell High School to discuss current hot topics in education. Then, wait till the end to see what grade CHS gets. In this week's episode, we'll be discussing the role school resource officers play at CHS. Joining me today in the Soundbox podcast studio is our very own Officer Pete.
Hello, Jacob. Thanks for having me today.
Of course.
I love doing this podcast stuff, so
Great.
I'm all in.
Before we dive into the interview, it's time for you to go back to school. It's time for the pop quiz.
All right, let's do it.
When did you first become the school resource officer for Cromwell?
So I'm going in my 5th year as SRO. And so I think I started about, 2020? Sorry, my math is right, 2020.
Yeah, interesting year to start.
Yeah, height of COVID for sure. Definitely a different year. Even just coming into the schools, like with mask wearing and social distancing, it was definitely a challenge for me to get to know everyone. So that was kind of the challenge coming in, but it's been great ever since.
What's your favorite piece of technology you have on you?
Oh, this is a hard question, Jacob. On me, my radio, my police radio.
Good choice.
I think just because I could communicate with the people I work with if I'm in trouble. So that's probably my best resource I have on me.
What's your favorite cop movie or show?
Law and Order SVU.
What's the Fourth Amendment?
Search and seizure.
How much does your belt weigh?
It's about, depending on what you have on it, about 20 to 25 pounds, just depending on like what you put on it, how many things you put on it. But it's a lot of weight on your like hips and your lower body.
What college did you go to and what degree did you get?
So I attended Central Connecticut State University in New Britain. My degree is in Bachelor of Arts in Criminology, and I have a minor in Communication.
Interesting. I'll give you an A+ on this pop quiz.
All right. What about a gold star? Can I get a gold star too?
I'll give you a gold star too. We'll continue after a quick word from our sponsor. Are you interested in investigating top stories around Cromwell High School? Perhaps you have a passion for photography, writing, or interviewing? Luckily, joining the CHS Newspaper Club is as easy as signing up to go to Mr. McGuff's room every other Friday during advisory. The Panther Press offers a great opportunity to gain journalistic experience and understand the world through a new lens, so see you there. Let's start at the beginning of your story. When you were my age in high school, did you have any idea about what your career would be?
Yeah, so for a long time, I think I wanted to be a police officer. I kind of knew this is where I wanted to be. I had some setbacks. When I say setbacks, I really didn't know. I didn't really think college was necessary at one point. I think when I was in like high school, I was kind of like, I don't have to go to college. But I took some time off. I took a semester, I think almost 2 semesters off in college, as far as just like I just wanted to work instead. But then I realized like I need an education. I need at least a bachelor's degree to kind of market myself better. So I just enrolled again and continued school, and then I graduated. So I graduated with honors. I took college very seriously. I really put my head down and just studied hard, and I wanted to kind of make my parents proud. My parents are immigrants, Italian immigrants, and not everyone, obviously, school was very valued in my family about like getting an education, furthering your education, all those things. So it's just important, and I value education for sure.
Can you describe the training process to become a regular police officer?
I'll start from the beginning. So out of college, it took me about a year and a half to get hired. I applied to probably 15 police departments in the state. I really wanted just to get hired. I was 20, 21, 22. I was young. I wanted to kind of just get a job, start working. I felt like I was more mature at my age of 22. And when I say that, again, not trying to brag or be arrogant, I just think I wanted to really kind of like grow up quickly. I wanted to start making money. I wanted to buy a house. I wanted all those things, like those milestones that people reach in their lives, right? I kind of wanted them quicker than I think the average 22-year-old wanted them. So I worked hard. I mean, like I said, I applied. It took me about a year and a half, and I ended up in Cromwell. The process was pretty long. Sometimes it moves quickly. When I say it's long, but it's quick. It's such a weird kind of thing to describe. I went through a physical exam, which is like a physical agility test based on like standards. So it's like sit-ups, 300-meter sprint, push-ups, and a 1.5 mile run. And that's changed. The standards and what the testing is changed since I've been a police officer. So like I used to have to do like bench press and different other things in that sit and reach test. So they've changed the standards over the years, which is fine, but that's kind of what I had to go through. And then from there, I had an oral interview. Just had to sit on a panel and answer questions about just all types of different scenarios. How would I handle certain situations? And then from there, I had a background investigator, detective kind of assigned to me, basically asking me everything and anything you possibly think of in my life it went through in my entire life, my finances, my social media. Back then it was, I think I had Facebook just came out when I was starting to be a police officer. Then from there, I had a polygraph test, which is like a lie detector test. I'm sure you've heard of polygraph before. That was pretty stressful. That was about 4.5 hours long. Wow. I had to fill out a packet, and I just everything and any kind of question you could possibly think of. And some of the questions were very, very kind of like, they felt very intrusive, just kind of some questions just made you feel kind of uncomfortable answering. When I say uncomfortable, it was just like I would never do that. Why would they ask me that? But I guess people say yes, so that's probably why they ask you. And then from there, I went to a psychological test. It was probably about like an hour or two long, and that was stressful too, just to see where I'm at mentally as far as my mental health and my wellness and all those different things. And back then, I was in great shape. I was working out. I had a good support group around me, good help network around me. So I was in a good place. And from there, I took a medical exam. It's like a physical. I had to get my eyes checked, my ears, my hearing, all those different things. Drug tested, blood testing, all that stuff. All that stuff was done through the medical. And then the last thing was the Chiefs interview. And when you get to the Chiefs interview, you're basically almost hired. You're pretty much hired. I got hired. I did a 6.5 month academy in Meriden. And then I did about 3.5 months of a field training program with Cromwell. And then they evaluate you. And then if you pass, you're on your own. And here I am 14 years later. I did about 5 years in patrol, did about 4 as a detective, and this is my 5th year as SRO. So it's been such an awesome career. Everyone kind of hits speed bumps in their careers and little ruts. I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't. We're a small town, but there's still things that we go through and things that happen. But this is a good spot to be in. I'm really kind of grateful to be in this position as SRO.
What extra training did you need to become a school resource officer?
So they actually have like a school resource officer course, they call it. It's just more so geared toward like school safety, school like safety preparedness, juveniles in crisis, all these different kind of trainings. There's so many I've gone to. I honestly couldn't even give you a number.
What's been your experience with instructing the DARE program?
I'm a DARE instructor too. I teach DARE at Woodside for 5th grade. That's been super rewarding to me. Again, I'm not a teacher, an instructor. I've been an instructor for our department now for a couple of years, 6 to 7 years, teaching things like handcuffing, baton, OC, like hand-to-hand combative stuff. And DARE was kind of like a whole different world for me. I was going into a 5th grade class teaching 5th graders about, just different topics in DARE. Definitely challenging, but it was super rewarding to do it. I was nervous as all could be. Probably one of the most nervous things I've done in my career. Each class was 45 minutes. I would do like 6-7 classes a week. I really got to give credit to teachers because that's what a teacher does. I wasn't too familiar with like the curriculum just yet. I just had done the training and I wanted to impress everybody and really just kind of like have a standard. And I did it. My first year, last year was my first year. It was stressful. This year, my second year, definitely less stressful. I got like more things kind of put in place. I was able to kind of plan better, have ideas, different ideas, bounce ideas off even like we have DARE mentors we can kind of call and so forth. So I've done that. It's been such a rewarding experience. I will say if, get through to one kid, one student, I'm okay with that. That's what I want. And it's not so much about, yes, there's stuff to learn in DARE, but I also like the impact about building that relationship with law enforcement and like the community, the school community. And that to me is much bigger than anything else, having that connection with that student. Even the teacher, right? Even the teacher and the, like whoever's in the classroom, if there's a para-educator, whatever that may be, those are all like important for me. That's the most important thing.
Can you expand on the importance of such a relationship between the SROs and the community?
Yeah, so there was an older officer in my department who always used to say this to me when I was a younger police officer when I first started, was that the school is the community and the community is the school. I obviously see that a lot more now. And I think what he meant by that was like everything's just blended. Once the bell rings, everyone's out in the community, right? So it's important to build those relationships kind of in the school environment, and then hopefully they translate into the community. And I'll give you an example. So I haven't seen him in the school. Like I kind of follow a teacher schedule somewhat. And on the weekends or at nights, sometimes I work, overtime, or I work a patrol shift. And sometimes I've been to calls where like I've seen parents, I've seen a lot of the students that I interact with, at their homes for calls. And it's kind of really nice to show up. And then like if they're having kind of a bad moment or having an issue, like things kind of change. The dynamic changes because I show up and they say, hey, Officer Pete, look, that's who Officer Pete, right? Officer Pete, this is Officer Pete. So seeing that for me is huge. That's the impact that I think SROs kind of have in the schools. It's like hopefully like someone they can trust, someone they know, someone they see that that has that presence. And I'm just very like fortunate for that. And I've been to certain calls where things that like someone calls for and they're just they might be having a fight, they might be having like an argument or disagreement about something, and I can show up and just be able to kind of mediate that and de-escalate that just because of who I am, of Officer Pete. I got to tell you, that's the biggest win for me. It's been the best and I think people don't understand that. Like the public doesn't understand that as well, because those are like wins for me, wins for the police department, wins for law enforcement as a whole. I'm a huge supporter of the SRO program. I love this program. I think it's, I have a standard in my head and my mind of how I want it to be, and I hold that. I try to hold that standard every day when I come to work and come into the schools.
How does going into classrooms further this relationship? Like how you went into Mr. Borden's class yesterday.
So I get invited into a lot of classrooms at CHS. It's awesome. Again, I'm not a teacher. I don't expect to be a teacher. I'm an instructor. I have, background in instructing police officers. I've done in-service training for police officers. I train new police officers. But kind of going into a classroom has been super beneficial because, example, Mr. Borton's class, he'll have me come in and just kind of do a Q&A like we did yesterday. I think people kind of see like, hey, like Officer Pete is a normal person, right? Like he wears a uniform. He's not a bad guy. I don't bite, right? I hope not. There's a time and place to be firm, right? And in the school community, in the school like atmosphere, it's just I'm typically more of a fair person. I like to be fair with people. I've always been that way. I think that's the only way like you can kind of get through to people. I think talking to people is super important. I love to talk. I can talk for hours. Like, you see me wear all this stuff on my belt and all these, you ask me how much this stuff weighs. I wish I could wear none of it. And when I say that, I don't mean that like in a disrespectful way. I always tell like new police officers, like if you have to learn how to talk to people, you have to learn how to interact with people, and you have to learn how to like connect with people. And that's important. And being able to talk and connect and really kind of getting down to like a high school level, like connecting with that individual, like either like socially or mentally, or like if they're having a bad day, like you have to be able to do that and relate to it. I remember what it was like to be in high school. It wasn't always like the best, right? I mean, we're high school kids. You're growing, your mind's growing, your body's growing, things are changing, your friend groups are changing. You have like stress at home with parents, and you might play sports or, do clubs, and there might be stress there. And there's just so many different stressors. So like I remember those days. So I understand like that high school perspective. I try to really just kind of like sympathize with that high school student because I know what it was like to be in that position. But I also, on the flip side, if a kid does do something inappropriate or wrong, I think there should be some kind of accountability too, right? And consequences.
This last question is one I know you have a lot to say on. How's your job been impacted by cell phones, social media, and AI?
Cell phones have just changed a lot over the course of, I guess, even like the past 5 years I've been here. I think social media has exploded as well. And we talk a lot about like AI. I know we did yesterday.
Yeah.
And how that impacts different things. I think it's a tool that we can use, right? And we talked about that yesterday, like having that tool in your toolbox. But I think like ultimately, like you're the person that should be doing the work, right? Because like even like you represent Cromwell, you're a Cromwell student, and you represent the entire Cromwell community. I kind of relate this to like a sports athlete. Let's say a Cromwell athlete. You're wearing a sports jersey that says Cromwell on it. You're not just representing yourself. Number two, you're representing everybody in Cromwell, including me, right? The police department, like Cromwell. And I think sometimes students don't see like that big picture. And social media has an impact on that too, right? Depending on what you send, what you're posting, all those things can affect you later on in life. I share with students your age is like, make good decisions. Think about what you're sending. Think about what you're sharing. Think about what you're putting out there because it's out there. And I'm not like saying this in like a patronizing way or, like I'm not your parent, but we trust our kids, our students with cell phones, right? This computer that you're walking around with, here's your cell phone, here you go. And you have all these different apps and all these different sources of information you could at your fingertips. That kind of scares me. It's a tool that you can use, but I also think it's scary because we're allowing like someone your age to really just have access to like everything and anything. Now, I'm not saying parents don't limit or have, different guidelines or they're not monitoring. That's a whole different discussion. But I think just having that power of all those things on your phone is just kind of it could be scary. You have all these different stressors, and then you put social media on top of it, this giant machine, this big cloud over you. That's a whole nother stressor, right? Like social media drama and all those different things. There are a lot of pros to social media, right? Businesses, connecting with people, staying close with friends, going away to college, all those different things. But I think personally, I see a lot of the negative. So I'm not against social media and cell phones, but I think we could do a better job of policing ourselves in the schools and monitoring things and just keeping a better kind of, tighter grip on what we do. This is a hard question because there's pros and cons to both. Technology can help us in many ways as far as like solving crimes, doing different things. But I think on the flip side, I just think kids your age are just naturally sometimes impulsive. So like you're going to post something, you're going to maybe say something out of context. And sometimes like those things can get us in trouble. And I hate seeing that. I know what it was like to be in high school. I know like what it was like to be kind of like impulsive and make decisions sometimes and do all those things. And I don't know, I look back, I'm like, I'm glad I didn't have a cell phone. I'm glad I didn't have access to all these Snapchat, Instagram, Discord, TikTok, like all these trends that are coming and almost like negatively affecting us as not only as like students, but like as a whole, as a district, right? And you see what's going on. This whole Chromebook thing that just happened. A very unfortunate incident, but like it grew legs very quickly. It happened on TikTok and then boom, Connecticut schools are being affected by it. Cromwell being one of them, like I said, unfortunately. But this is like the reality of what happens. It's like, I just feel like there's so much that like kids your age can't process and they don't see that big picture, like the end result of what's going to happen. And impact is down the road. So just try to think of the big picture. I know it's very hard to, but big picture, think it, and I think you'll be better off and do your best to make good decisions when you're on social media.
That's a great take on the situation.
Thank you.
And now, a quick message from our sponsor. Hey everyone, think you're up to date on Cromwell High School's top stories? Think again. Do you really know what's going on in the news? I bet you don't. Good thing the Panther Press is in the library. Head there to check out the CHS newspaper's latest April edition so you get students' take on recent school events and worldwide events. Additionally, challenge yourself with a crossword puzzle, unscramble some words, and laugh at the comic. Whether you're an avid reader or you've only used a newspaper to protect the table while painting, don't miss your chance to pick up a copy of the Panther Press. Support our talented writers and educate yourself about what is happening in Cromwell High School and the wider world. Again, don't forget to get your hands on the brand new 9th edition found in the library. To wrap things up, let's give CHS a grade based on how well we support our school resource officers and allow them to connect with the community. From an F to an A, where do you think we stand and why?
I think I have a great connection with our community. I will tell you, I don't connect with every single student in the school. I don't have to. And I also understand that sometimes people have not opinions, but they have certain beliefs and certain opinions about police, let's say, and they're kind of guarded. They don't know they can trust me and all those different things. So I don't ever force someone to talk to me. What I tell you is, if you like me, great. If you don't, I'm still going to show up if something happens. I'm still going to be in the school to help you. I'm still going to be part of that support system to help you. So I think it's just kind of building those relationships that way. As far as a grade goes, I'm going to say an A.
Good choice.
I really am. I think we have a good relationship with the Cromwell School District. I work with so many people every day. I can't tell you how many people I talk to during a day. Sometimes I go home and I have to take a seat for a minute because I've talked to so many people and I share so many stories, or they share stories with me, both professionally and personally. And sometimes it's a lot to take in, but it's also, I'm super thankful and grateful that I'm able to have that trust with that person and be able to share those things. So I'm very lucky. I think our relationship is great. Like I told you, I didn't know how much I was going to love this position as much as I do. I truly enjoy it. It's the best thing. It's made me a better police officer. Just talking to juveniles and students and kids your age. I feel like I can talk, if I'm talking to you or I can talk to someone your age, I can talk to anybody. I used to interview adults all the time for crimes when I was a detective, and I enjoyed that. But I feel like if I can talk to a kid, I can talk to anybody.
For sure. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I love this stuff. This is the best.
Thanks for listening to the report card. Make sure to tune in next week as I discuss cell phones with Mr. Cuckle. Remember, you can see updates by subscribing to CHS Soundbox on YouTube. See you next time.